Welcome to the Shaper Sports Show, episode 32 here on Buzzer, X, and YouTube. I'm Andrew Shaper. Go subscribe to buzzer.com. Go apply to be a content creator or go create a fan account. Go follow Buzzer on all social media platforms at Buzzer Official. That's at BZZROFFICIAL, all sports, no noise. Go follow the Center Hub at the Center Hub _BB, where they cover the WNBA, the NBA, men's and women's college basketball. Go listen to the Bird Rights podcast, where all 30 offseason previews for the NBA are done. Go listen to the One and Done podcast. I recorded an episode and it is published last night with Stephen Baggell and John Simpson, where we did college basketball carousel superlatives. So we took all the coaches that changed teams this year and we put superlatives like first coach that will make it to the Final Four, coach that will make it to March Madness, coach that will make it to the Hall of Fame, which coach is probably going to fail. All of those types of things. You can go listen to that. It's on the One and Done podcast. You can find that on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow me on X at Andrew S. Hoops 2 and on YouTube at Andrew Schaefer 421. Okay, so pretty quiet sports day today. Not a lot going on. The Fanatics Fest is taking place in New York City. So a lot of celebrities there, including LeBron James, who is currently, might not be on stage anymore, but he was on stage with Tyrese Halliburton. LeBron has not made a decision regarding where he's going to be playing. He apparently, a lot of people made the assumption that since Tyrese Halliburton was hosting the podcast that LeBron was going to the Indiana Pacers. LeBron was never even considering for 1 second the Indiana Pacers. So apparently when Tyrese Halliburton asked about LeBron going to Indiana, LeBron apparently sent 2 laughing emojis. That's not surprising. Indiana would have never been considered. As of this moment, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be Cleveland or Golden State. I think those are the two. I think Golden State, they probably need a little bit more juice. Cleveland, obviously is home. Philadelphia, obviously, I think is the team he should go to. If he wants to win a championship, because you get to play with Jaylen Brown and Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe and possibly Joel Embiid if he's healthy. Miami, I just don't think there's enough talent on the roster. Golden State, I don't think there's enough talent on the roster. Cleveland doesn't really have the leadership skills. I think LeBron wishes that some of these other markets, Cleveland, Miami, Golden State, that they had a little bit more to work with because it would be a no-brainer. But Philadelphia is probably the best chance for him to win. But Philadelphia is also the toughest market. I don't know that LeBron wants to deal with that. So again, we'll see how that all plays out over the next few days. It was said LeBron was going to decide this week. We are already 3 o'clock on Thursday, and he still has yet to make a decision. And it is absolutely ridiculous how long he is taking. I think it's funny that Rich Paul goes on these platforms and kind of, says what's going on. At the end of the day, there are not 30 teams calling for LeBron James. LeBron has an entourage. He's a diva. I don't think anybody wants to deal with it. I think we all know it's Cleveland, Golden State, Philadelphia. We all know it's going to be those teams. He's not going to San Antonio. He's not going to Oklahoma City. He's not going to New York. He's not going to Minnesota. It's going to be one of those teams. He's going to make a decision. It's, do you want to win or do you care about, happiness, which is what he says. So what defines his happiness? Is it winning a championship? Is it making money? Is it playing with your friends? I don't know. Because Philadelphia, he doesn't have a lot of friends. Golden State, he's got friends. Cleveland is home. So he's got to make the decision on what he wants to do. And hopefully he makes that soon, because I think everybody is sick and tired of him just dragging it out and dragging it out and dragging it out. But this is what he loves. He loves dragging things out because he loves, getting attention and people talking about him nonstop. So we'll just have to see how LeBron's situation plays out. Other news in the NBA, Gary Trent Jr.'s contract is being looked into. This is not shocking. He got a 4-year, $64 million contract, and everybody thought it was like the strangest contract ever. So we will keep an eye on that as we go. I'm just looking to see if there's any other news breaking. It doesn't look like there is at the moment. So not a lot really, again, going on in the sports world today. The British Open is underway. The leader is Jackson Suber. Jackson Suber has actually been playing pretty well recently. 3 top 10s in his last 6 starts, but obviously not a guy on most people's radars. Bryson DeChambeau had a good day. Scotty Scheffler had a good day. Colin Morikawa had a good day as well. Cam Young is playing well. So there are some big names, most notably Jordan Spieth really struggling, and Jordan Spieth has continued to struggle for a long time, and I just don't see it getting any better for Spieth. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Again, it sounds like the weather is going to be great there. No rain. It's going to be firm, fast. British Open should be a lot of fun this weekend. The World Cup, Argentina and England. What a game yesterday. England takes the lead 1-0. And then Argentina did what they always do. They work their magic, Messi, and then find a way. They win it 2-1. I hated the way England ended this game. England played to lose. They got tight. Thomas Tuchel tried to defend it all the way out. And it was a disaster by England. There's no other way to describe it. They had a 1-0 lead, and they played to win it 1-0. You cannot do that when Lionel Messi is on the other side. You cannot try to win it 1-0 and hope and pray that Argentina doesn't push, and Argentina, you can't do that. And Thomas Tuchel paid for it. Argentina scores 2 late goals, and they find a way to win it 2-1, and Argentina is now into the finals. They have a chance to become back-to-back champions on Sunday at MetLife Stadium here in New Jersey and New York. They will take on Spain, who, of course, beat France. Great final. Spain, really good defensively. Argentina, really good offensively. Going to be a really good final. Should be really entertaining. I'm taking Argentina. I had France-Argentina in the final before, so I will take Lionel Messi to go back-to-back World Cups and defeat Spain at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. It will be a spectacle to watch. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. It's pretty dead. Baseball's kind of at a standstill with the All-Star break. The Milwaukee Brewers actually made a trade yesterday for Lance McCullers Jr., of course, was pretty good in Houston for a while. It's kind of fallen off. But yeah, very, very quiet right now. Trevor Zegras re-signed with the Philadelphia Flyers, got a lot of money. Anthony Mathis signed with the New Jersey Devils. The ESPYs were last night. The New York Knicks clean swept the ESPYs. Can it get any better for the Knicks? They win an NBA championship. They end a 53-year drought. They win 5 ESPYs. Doesn't get much better for them. And they get to have ring night in October. It just shows you, the credit that James Dolan, Leon Rose, Mike Brown, and the players deserve. They've earned it. Ending a 53-year drought was not easy with all of the mistakes that James Dolan's made. Jalen Brunson taking $113 million less so they could build a team with Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby and Karl-Anthony Towns and Deuce McBride and Landry Shamet. And they pretty much are bringing everybody back. Mitchell Robinson's in Boston. Ariel Hukporti's in Philadelphia. They signed Andre Drummond. That's it. They're pretty much bringing back the entire group. And the NBA broke. Jaylen Brown was traded from Boston to Philadelphia. Kawhi Leonard possibly was traded from the Clippers to Toronto, but it may not go through because of Kawhi's investigation. Crazy. Crazy what's going on in the NBA right now. Just crazy. And we're still waiting on LeBron, as I mentioned earlier. So we'll just have to see, what the next move is. But I think the next move is probably LeBron, making his decision. So let's do the NFL wide receivers list. So the list came out. They're doing by position lists. So they did wide receivers, and I wanted to look at this list because this is obviously a premier skill position. I'll read through the list ESPN has. Number 1, Jamar Chase. Number 2, Justin Jefferson. Number 3, Jackson Smith and Jigba. 4, Puka Nacua. 5, Amon-Ra St. Brown. 6, CeeDee Lamb. 7, George Pickens. 8, Nico Collins. 9, A.J. Brown. 10, Devontae Adams. Honorable mentions, Malik Neighbors, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, Tyreek Hill, Drake London, Jamison Williams. Also receiving votes, Alec Pierce, T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, Lad McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen Waddle, and Chris Olave. I have no problem with Chase, Jefferson, and Njigba at 1, 2, 3. Those 3 guys have proven it. JSN won a Super Bowl in Seattle. Jefferson, I think, is probably going to ask for a trade from the Vikings at some point here soon. Jamar Chase, no question. Not going to argue that at all. Puka Nacua, to me, should be lower. I know the talent's there, but I'm not in love with him. I know he's got a lot of talent. He's going to be a free agent after this year. He's got a lot of off-the-field issues right now. So that's interesting. St. Brown, I'm okay with at 5. Really talented player for the Lions. CeeDee Lamb, I'm good with. I think George Pickens is too high. I think he's too high. I think he's vastly overrated. I think he's a number 2 receiver. He's got a lot of issues off the field with the attitude. Obviously talented. Not questioning the talent. I just personally wouldn't have him at number 7. Nico Collins at 8. I just think too many injuries. The drop rate is a concern. Well, drop rate actually is pretty good. I shouldn't say that. The issue for me with Nico Collins is injuries. A.J. Brown should be much higher at 9. I understand there was a lot of drama with him and Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and the reading the book, and that probably lowered him down. But A.J. Brown, to me, when he is locked in, fully healthy, he's top 5. So to me, A.J. Brown should be much higher on this list than 9th. Devontae Adams, he's just older. I just don't really know what he's got left in the tank. Malik Neighbors should be nowhere, with the injuries. Tyreek Hill's had injuries. I think Garrett Wilson at number, 14? I don't know what he is, 16, 17, 18. Garrett Wilson's too low. Garrett Wilson has produced for the New York Jets. It's not his fault that the Jets have no idea what the hell they're doing at the quarterback position by getting Justin Fields and then getting Geno Smith. It's not Garrett Wilson's fault. Like I said, I was surprised Garrett Wilson re-signed with the Jets. If I was him, I would have gone somewhere else. I think he should be higher. I think Devontae Smith should also be higher. Devontae Smith is going to have a breakout season for the Philadelphia Eagles. T. Higgins should be higher from the Cincinnati Bengals. I just think some of these guys, what plays in is team success, lack of quarterback, other drama. I just think A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Smith, all too low. I think Puka Nacua is a little bit too high for me. I have Nico Collins, a little bit too high for me. George Pickens, a little bit too high for me. I understand why they are where they are, because a lot of GMs look at it as pure talent. They don't look at off the field and relationships and stuff like that. So that's kind of my beef with the wide receiver position. Okay, let's go to the American Conference men's basketball preview for this year. So in the American, the way this league works is there are it's a lot of misfit teams. These are a lot of teams that were in former leagues that got put together. Memphis, Wichita State, Temple, South Florida. These are teams that were in prior leagues, and now they're in what's called the American Conference. So, as usual, we're going to go 1 through the bottom. So there are 13 teams in this league. We're going to go 1 through the bottom. We'll start from the bottom, and we'll work our way up. I do believe this is going to be a one-bid league. I don't see multiple teams getting in, even with the expansion. I think it's a decent mid-major league. I don't think it's great. If you're asking me where I'd rank it, I'd probably have it behind the Pac-12, behind the A-10. I think they can probably get to 8, somewhere between 8 and 11 in leagues rankings. So we're going to start at the bottom. Number 13 is UTSA. Austin Clonch is the head coach there. He brings back Doran Hayes, who should be a double-figure scorer in the American Conference. Brings in 2 Power 5 guys, Isaiah Watts from Maryland and Isaiah Coleman, who should be probably their best player from Oklahoma State. But outside of that, it is going to be a struggle for this group. This is a school that, I don't have any ties to any schools, any ADs, any PR guys, any coaching staffs. I don't have any ties. I know nothing. It's all based off my own instincts. I'm going to say this school probably doesn't have a lot of money to work with. They're probably the lowest in NIL in the league. And I think it's going to be a rough road for Austin Clonch. Number 12 is East Carolina. There were reports that Michael Schwartz, their head coach, was not going to be allowed back, but he is back for another season. Eli DeLaurier is his best player from last year that came back. He brings in Trevor Best from Arizona State. That is the only Power 5 transfer he brought in. In terms of scoring, Kasim Watson from UTEP and Sion Medley from Kent State. But it's going to be a struggle for Michael Schwartz at East Carolina. This is a program that has been in the basement of the American for a while now. I was surprised they didn't let him go. I thought they were going to. They decide not to. But his tenure probably coming to an end. Number 11 is Rice. Rob Lanier is the head coach there. The big addition for him, Carmelo Atkins from USC Upstate. He does have continuity. Cam Carroll, Eternity Iguagi, Jimmy Oladukin Jr. I like the Jacob Dar pickup from Seton Hall. Remember, he had a big East tournament game last year for Seton Hall when they beat Creighton. Dar kind of came out of nowhere. If he can do something, I don't know about to that extreme, but if he can be a consistent scorer, he only averaged 3.2 points a game. I think he can get you 8 or 9, but Rice is also going to struggle. They are mostly football and academics. It's going to be a rough road for Rice. Number 10, Temple. Adam Fisher gets a contract extension this offseason. Now, Temple is interesting because they bring in Cam Scott from South Carolina and Deuce Drake from Indiana, 2 Power 5 guys that redshirted. Don't know the talent level really there. Gavin Griffiths is probably going to be their guy. He was there last year. Jordan Marsh from USC should be good. I like Babu Karanjaye from UTSA. I think Temple, I'm probably lower on. I feel like they might get to 8th or 9th. I just don't really, honestly, just trust the athletic director, Arthur Johnson. I don't really trust Adam Fisher to get Temple out of the hole. Temple, to me, should be in the A10. They were a staple there for many years. This is one of the most historic programs of all time. And most people that are 35 and younger probably don't realize that. But John Chaney was one of the greatest coaches ever in college basketball, was at Temple for many years. Fran Dunphy was at Temple. So I just think it's really, ever since they went to the American, it has just been an absolute nightmare. Number 9, Florida Atlantic. And John Jacobs was hired to replace Dusty May. John Jacobs, of course, comes from Scott Drew's tree. He brings back Kanan Carlisle, who I think is going to be an all-conference player. But outside of that, it's going to be a struggle. Josh Harris, the redshirt from Indiana. Taco Ifeola from Colorado. I like Jelani Hamilton from Georgia State. And I like Braden Speed from Loyola, Maryland. But it's going to be a struggle for John Jacobs' group. This is not Dusty May anymore. John Jacobs is at Florida Atlantic. John Jacobs is expected to get Florida Atlantic to relevance. I know the Dusty May thing, it's hard. So I have Florida Atlantic at 9. Number 8 is Tulane. Ron Hunter, is a good coach. He was at Georgia State when they beat Baylor a few years back. He's still at Tulane. Brings back Tyler Ringgold, who's going to be a double-figure scorer. Carson Schweiger comes in from Queens. I like TJ Nadeau and Christian Lewis from Detroit Mercy and Louisiana Monroe. But again, Tulane, I'm going to guess they don't have a ton of money. I think it's going to be a struggle to continuously build a team that can contend for the top of the American. Number 7, UAB and Andy Kennedy, who is, to me, a really, really good coach. He, of course, has Power 5 experience, but he's a guy that has taken UAB to the tournament in the past. I just don't know that this year's the year. He's going to be playing 3 JUCO kids more than likely off his bench. I love Deuce Jones from St. Joe's and Justin Fernandez from Delaware. I think their starting lineup is going to be able to score. The problem is when you're playing 3 JUCO kids off the bench, that scares me a lot. Even as good of a coach as Andy Kennedy is, I think it's going to be a struggle. Number 6 is North Texas. And Danielle Robinson is going into year 2. He was hired from Cleveland State. So right now on their roster, they only have 10 players. But Jashawn Stevenson is going to be an all-conference player. He averaged 17 points a game last year for North Texas. They bring back Cole Franklin and Reese Robinson, who I think both will be double-digit scorers. Mitchell Holmes from SMU, I think, is going to be a good add for Coach Robinson. Amar Amku from Florida Atlantic has already played in this league. His numbers should go up. I don't think it's a great team, but I think it's a team that has a dude who knows what he's doing. You have Jashawn Stevenson, who's going to get the ball at the end of the game and make a play, and you need that in college basketball. So I have North Texas at 6. Number 5, South Florida. I am lower probably on South Florida than most. Brian Hodgson moves on to Providence. They hire Chris Mack from Charleston. And if you remember when Chris Mack was hired, not one single insider or one single person had any idea that Chris Mack was interviewing at South Florida. He leaves Charleston, a very good CAA job, maybe the best CAA job, to go to South Florida. Chris Mack has ties to the state of Florida, so it was not shocking that he took this job. He brings in 3 high major transfers: Mike James out of Vanderbilt, Zayden Hyatt, who I really like out of North Carolina, and then Tiafeng Diawara, who didn't play much for Syracuse. His Sonny Wilson and AJ Dantzler is going to be his backcourt, the kids from Toledo and Coastal Carolina. The worry for me is he's got a lot of kids coming in that have to level up, right? He's bringing in 6 dudes from lower leagues that have to level up, that have to get used to the athleticism, have to get used to the length and the speed. I just think 6 out of 10 guys in a rotation, 6 out of 8 guys in a rotation that are going to be from the low major level. I think it's going to take Chris Mack a little bit of time. And let's remember, he did not take Charleston to the NCAA tournament. I think people love him because of what he did at Xavier and what he did at Louisville, before everything fell apart. But I think South Florida is going to take a little time. Number 4, Charlotte and Wes Miller. So Wes Miller comes in after he was fired at Cincinnati. He has obviously ties to the University of North Carolina. I think Wes Miller took this job to angle to try to replace Michael Malone at North Carolina. That's how I see it. But I love what he brought. Jizzle James, Keyshawn Tillery, Jordy Rodriguez, Tyler McKinney, all were with him last year at Cincinnati. Arden Conyers is back from Charlotte from last year. Dylan Grant at Rutgers should be very good. I like this group. I think he's got a lot of talent. Dorian Finister from Louisiana is going to be good. I just don't know that Charlotte's going to get to the tournament in year one. I think Wes had to put a team together, kind of see what he has, assess the situation. I think they're going to be a really good team. They're going to be a fun team to watch. They're going to be much more interesting than they've been. I'm sure Wes got a pretty big influx of NIL into his pot there. So I have Charlotte at number 4. Number 3, Tulsa. They were the surprise team last year in the American under Eric Konkol. And I think he's got a really nice team again this year. He was in the mix for the Boston College job because he had ties to the athletic director. But he brings back both Jalen Lawal and Miles Rigsby, who I think are both going to be double-figure scorers. Brent Moss from UTSA is going to be a double-figure scorer. Mike Williams, the second from Seton Hall, should be a double-figure scorer. I love the Jeremiah Johnson pickup from Campbell. Kobe Williams out of Missouri State. Like, he's got a lot of offense. The defense will be interesting. We'll see how Tulsa handles the defensive end of the floor. But I think offensively, this is going to be one of the better teams in the American. Number 2, Wichita State. Paul Mills. There is pressure there. Now, Paul Mills had a bit of a health scare. I believe it was, I don't know exactly when it was, but he had a bit of a health scare. So I know there's a lot of people rooting for him. He's got a lot of continuity coming back. Michael Gray Jr., TJ Williams, Dylan Battie, Will Berg should all be double-figure scorers. So 4 of his 5 starters are going to be double figures. Jahari Long is a kid at George Mason who should be very good as well. Jordan Freeson out of Chattanooga. Bryce Hurd out of Dayton. This team is going to be very dangerous in the American. And this fan base is starting to get impatient. They want to go back to the tournaments. Obviously, they don't have Fred VanVleet or Cleanthony Early or Ron Baker. They don't have those guys anymore. But I think Paul Mills has a legitimate shot to put Wichita State in position to go to the NCAA tournament. But number 1 is Memphis. And to me, the most pressure in the room is on Penny Hardaway. And Penny Hardaway last year at Memphis was an unmitigated disaster. I think Memphis, they have to make the NCAA tournament this season, or I think there's going to be too much pressure to move on from Penny Hardaway. I understand he went to school there. I understand he's Mr. Memphis. I get it. And it's hard to move on from an alum. Very difficult. Right? Anytime you hire someone who was a big part of your program and now you're telling them, hey, by the way, go scram. We don't want you anymore. It's going to be a big challenge for Memphis to part ways with Penny, because if he misses the tournament this year, they're going to go, well, he's going to get it right. And he's going to get it right. I think this is going to be very difficult for Memphis to part ways with Penny Hardaway, because let's face it, he's had roster turnover, coaching turnover. It feels like every year he's turning over 90% of his roster and 90% of his staff. And the only person that hasn't changed is him. Now, 2 years ago, they lost to Colorado State in the first round. They were a 5 seed. They should have been an 8 seed. The committee did a terrible job there. And last year, they finished in the bottom half of the league. To me, they're the favorites this year. Julius Thedford is back. Tylik Weeks from Southern Miss is going to be solid. I love Luke Almodovar from SEMO State. Brandon Cummings, I think, has a chance to be really good. Jaden Reed could be very good from Northwestern. Jerry Dang should be good. I think Memphis is the favorite. And if Memphis doesn't win the tournament, I am firing Penny Hardaway. Now, will Memphis do that? Probably not. I think if he's at least competitive in the American, top 2, and they get to the final, then I think he's fine. But if they're like 3rd or 4th and they lose in the semifinals or they lose in the second round of the American tournament, I think you have to let them go no matter how hard it is. Because at the end of the day, these fans that were used to winning with Derrick Rose and John Calipari, they're not going to stand for mediocre basketball, even if it's from one of their own. They don't care. They want to win. They know they're in a bad league, and they know they're the best team in that league, and they know they have the most money in that league as well. So that, to me, all the pressure is on Penny Hardaway. Like I said, Michael Schwartz at East Carolina could very well, be let go. Paul Mills at Wichita State, I think, is a possibility as well. So to recap in the American, so 1 Memphis, 2 Wichita State, 3 Tulsa, 4 Charlotte, 5 South Florida, 6 North Texas, 7 UAB, 8 Tulane, 9 Florida Atlantic, 10 Temple, 11 Rice, 12 East Carolina, and 13 UTSA. So that will do it for this episode of the Shaper Sports Show. a little bit shorter than usual. Again, not a lot going on. The World Cup is coming to an end on Sunday. So not a ton going on in the summer. Tomorrow, we're going to preview I'll do the WCC tomorrow, a league that took a major step back after Gonzaga left and St. Mary's lost Randy Bennett. Major step back coming for this league. So I'll do the WCC tomorrow. Pretty crazy right now with the weather, with this haze going on here in New York because of the Canadian wildfires. Hopefully they get this situated. But yeah, go subscribe to Buzzer. Go apply to be a content creator, or go create a fan account at buzzer.com. That's bzzr.com. Go follow Buzzer on all social media platforms at Buzzer Official. That's at BZZROFFICIAL. All sports, no noise. Go follow the Center Hub at the Center Hub _BB. Go listen to the Bird Rides podcast. Go listen to the One and Done podcast. You could follow me on X at Andrew S. Hughes 2. You could follow me on YouTube at Andrew Schaefer 421. Go enjoy your Thursday. Stay cool, and we'll talk tomorrow.